Welcome back to the podcast, guys. Today we're joined by Maxim, who is the Chief Business Officer of Xhuman. So welcome to the podcast, Maxim. Maybe you can start by just telling us a little bit about what you guys do.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for the invitation. Briefly, we're doing digital humans, or more specifically, we are building empathetic conversational AI and a lot of features around it, like animating conversations, building, everything is based on AI. We have our proprietary tech. We are doing pretty good. We reached 7.5 million ARR just last month. And we have different B2B clients, in the entertainment industry. That's basically where our clients come from. Dating, AI companions, some huge studios that create movies with a lot of fictional characters, universes of fictional characters and so on. So yeah, that's what we do.
I wanted to speak to you guys because I've never seen somebody like this, and I haven't had somebody like this on the podcast before. Lots of people talking about AI avatars or AI voices and AI cloning even, but never this idea of empathetic AI. So can you dive into that a little bit more, and how does that work on the platform?
Absolutely. So the business evolved from our founder, who has been a head of AI at Replica for a very long time, and he built the product from the ground up. And later on, the problem is that they had only, if I'm not mistaken, they had only one character that you basically talk to, develop, and so on. So his idea was to create a multiple universe of different characters, or you can create your own character. Honestly, all of the chatbots we have in our products, they are all user generated. It's UGC basically. And so you can create your AI copy, your AI digital twin, and use it for a variety of purposes. The obvious purpose is just to have fun. But now I see a trend where social apps like TikTok, Instagram, and so on, we see a lot of more and more user-generated content. But I guess we will see some sort of a search by different people and an increase of the demand for AI companions, especially given the decline of dating apps. And we see that by maybe 2030, 2035, market size will be around several hundred billions, which is a huge market, because now it's a very, it's a niche market, to be honest. And there are some implications and challenges in GTM strategy because of this. But I guess that's manageable. So we have our B2C products. That's where the data come from and how we build our model. And then we transfer it to B2B, so we can be able to sell it to our B2B clients, the datings, the AI companions, and so on and so on.
Right. And did you say that the fall of dating apps is like use of dating apps going down right now?
Yeah, I would say not the fall, but the decline of the usage is obvious. You can see that by a variety of metrics. The growth rates diminishes, the number of users declines. We see this just, it's open source statistics. But what is more important is that the level of loneliness increases. But the dating apps, like the usage of dating apps decreases. So in some way, in this period of time, a lot of AI companions evolve. Some of them built on ChatGPT, but the empathy level of ChatGPT is very low. We like to joke and say this is a Mr. Wikipedia. You can, ask a lot of questions about the weather, the movies, the context, make summary, and so on. But honestly, for empathy-driven apps, this is not the best case, and that's why we are suggesting using our empathy model, because the level of empathy is just much.
Yeah, I've definitely experienced that. It's funny today, actually. I didn't connect the dots. So I was playing around with HeyGen, and it's pretty good. And I sent it to some of my friends, and they're like, "Oh, wait, is that AI? I'm not sure." And they go, I said to them, "You need to get used to it, because we're all going to be having virtual boyfriends and girlfriends in the next couple of years. Because how could you not? That just feels like the next progression. Like having a human partner will be some novelty, and I feel like an AI companion will be the norm. Why not? If they understand you exactly, they look exactly the way you want, and there's none of the negatives. I feel like we're going towards that era. So is that we feel like humanity is going, and you're facilitating that, or what are your thoughts around that?
Yeah, I mean, if we look very deep into this, I'm not a psychologist of any sort, but
Yeah.
I believe that there are so many problems in the, in the human relationships. How to say properly, amount of people that value, money more than like human empathetic relationships, given that in a way relationships became some sort of a commodity. You can have a lot of different partners and so on and so on. I mean, most probably you understand what I mean. Some part of the population, some part of people, especially Gen Z, I think they tend to use AI, and it's, I mean, on the one hand, it's good because they they solve their problem using AI. But on the other hand, it's difficult to watch because we might grow into a society where 99% of the content and the communications will be based on AI, which is a disaster. So that's not what I would like to see in the future. But that's a world where we might be heading towards.
Okay, so then moving away from like ethics and human psychology, and let's talk a little bit more about the business itself. What have been some of the biggest challenges you guys have faced building X Human over the last 12 months?
I would say that one of the biggest challenges is that in terms of GTM, two challenges. The first challenge is you need to be constantly improving the model. And if you want to compete with some of the best models, people still rely a lot on ChatGPT, and they think
Yeah.
that if you can fine tune or prompt it in a better way, in a proper way, it will work out eventually. It's not. And I can say that because if we compare metrics, average user engagement per user per day for ChatGPT is around 13 minutes, somewhat. And
Okay.
then if you look into different social apps like TikTok, Facebook, WhatsApp, and so on, the average usage is around like 25 to maybe 40 minutes at most. So the user engagement for our model, and I can say that because we have more than 1.5 million active users on our B2C app, and also we have a lot of B2B clients. So the user engagement is more than 2 hours. That's the difference that we were managed to build because of the technological advantage we have. But maintaining this is, it requires a lot of effort, I would say. So this is one challenge, but it's more technological. If we speak business wise, I would say that honestly, it's still an evolving industry with many challenges that you can predict for a evolving industry. It's still a niche industry, so there are not so many active players. We are in a very early stage of this curve that will, as we expect, a parabolic growth, I would say. So that implies a lot of difficulties in your GTM, in your outreach, in your marketing campaigns, and so on. So yes, we do have these challenges. If you want, we can go deeper into this.
Yeah, for sure. That's what we're here for. I think a lot of the times people love to hear about the challenges that you guys have faced or that you're currently facing and how you're going about solving them, right? So that they might be able to solve them in their business.
Yeah, so I know that because I have worked for like several startups that had similar situation when the market size is less than, let's say, 5 billion USD total addressable market, and then the product is just has started evolving, and there are not so many competitors, and especially given the odds that now a lot of founders, they're trying to build a niche product because you're trying to solve a particular pain in some particular industry for a specific target audience, instead of trying to build something very universal for the whole world. The challenges might be that you just might have not enough target audience. So
Mm.
basically you can run out of your database. I mean, you built your marketing qualified leads. You have your database from Apollo or from whatever, and then you just at some point you ran out of leads, and you need to understand that you need to educate the market. You need to do some social selling. You need to do demand generation. Sometimes founders miss this because demand generation for some people is just a noise. They think that if you outreach thousands of messages, you'll definitely hit your quota and that's it. But That's not going to work in a niche market. So you need to use a lot of different tools. You need to collaborate a lot with marketing department. You need to push a lot and focus a lot on different marketing approaches, not focusing on one, like basically multi-channel outreach. But we all know, that one warm lead costs maybe 3 to 5 cold leads, because much easier to close a warm lead rather than go and outreach in the same manner a lot of cold leads that have much less conversion rate. So I think one of the challenges for me is that finding those leads, because the market is niche, and at some point you run out of leads and you need to start educating the market. For B2C, that's not really my like expertise. I'm mostly focused on B2B, but for B2C, I don't think it's a problem. It's all the same as everywhere else. We don't like you don't need to invent a bicycle to attract B2C audience. More or less, it's everywhere it is the same. For B2B, we try different approaches. And I'll be very honest with you, some of the approaches, they're just not really working. And I'll give you several examples. There is like a very hyped topic right now, especially on LinkedIn, which is AI SDR. Basically, you hire an outsourced company that developed some sort of a AI product built most probably on ChatGPT or similar model, and they do the outreach using emails, like some domains, email domains, and then they just go through the databases, and eventually you will have some clients. This thing works pretty well if you have a target audience more than 10 to K potential prospects and more. But if you have, I don't know, let's say less than 5,000 contacts, sooner or later, you will just run out of those leads, and you'll have to figure out how you can do it on your own. And I think one of the best approaches still working for me personally is LinkedIn. Content writing. Content is good. I mean, it's good for building awareness and brand and so on, but content itself never sells. And I know there are a lot of people on LinkedIn that will hate this. They will say, no, the content sells. It's like some mantra. I'm not sure, honestly. I mean, content helps. It's like a good foundation for your brand, but you still need to do the manual work. You need to do the outreach. And the quality of writing DMs, I think, is very important, because from 10 DMs, you can have 3 to 5 calls, which sometimes is the case. Sometimes you can send more DMs and you will have no calls. So DMing is important, but demand generation is even more important, because this creates the foundation for the awareness of your product, of the industry, and you will get definitely more clients. I would say that in different stages of my career, I used all of those that you mentioned. For some cases, for some products, you better have some lead magnet, because if you absolutely aware of the situation on the market and on the pain of the customer, it's better to have particular, lead magnet. And then you discuss the lead magnet, and then you have a conversation, maybe a call about and you discuss it, and so on and so on. But with my current case, we don't have that much of the lead magnets, and I think it's even better not to have a lead magnet, because just irrelevant. And no presentation, no decks, just a talk, and then you show a demo, or they can try and test it on their own, and that's it. For the business, I think one of the biggest challenges I personally see in many startup founders personally, is that people misunderstand the product market fit. They think that product market fit is a revenue growth or growth rate or annual recurring revenue, whatsoever. But actually, the reality of a product market fit is it has no connection with the revenue itself. It's the ability to attract customers without any outreach. Or, in other words, you can say there is a specific question, like a survey you can do. If suddenly you ask a customer, like, our product stop existing right now, you cannot use it anymore, are you happy or you're disappointed or you're very disappointed? And if 40% of those people say that we are very disappointed, then you have a market fit. But it's not about the revenue, because there are many examples how people fundraised 30 million for Series A and they have Fortune 500 clients like Colgate, Bugatti, and so on, and they still failed because they missed the market fit. LinkedIn. I'm always on LinkedIn. They can connect me on LinkedIn, and I'm a very responsive and socially active, I would say. Thank you for having me, Jordan. Have a great week and all the best to your audience.